Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone. We're just going to start now. Thank you so much for joining. It's a big honor to be speaking with us today. And for those who do not know me, my name is Blessing Oladimeji. Blessing Oladimeji. I'm the lead parenting consultant of Inparential Family Services. And I am a parenting coach. So I am privileged to talk to parents on how to raise their children to be awesome children, how to raise their children to become responsible, independent adults, especially the world that we're living in right now. It is a different world. And I'm sure a lot of us will agree with me that our grandchildren are different from our children. Am I right? So I want to be sure that we're together. Please let us just say something. So I'm sure that you can hear me. I am here. We're together. Just say something. Let me know that you can hear me. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, now I'm good. I've heard one of us voice, so I know that you can hear me perfectly well. And I know grandparents like to sleep early, so I don't want to take our time in any way. I don't want to take our time. All right. So I'm privileged to have 3 princes, and okay, please help me mute as you join. Mute as you join, please. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So I said, my name is Blessing Oladimeji, and I am privileged to have 3 princes and my king, who has given me wings to fly. So I can do what I want to do. It's not hindering the assignments or the ministry. I can just do what I want to do. And having 3 princes and a king makes me the only girl in the home. So I remember when growing up, there were some people around that my mom used to call "Ya soldier." Please help me mute. Thank you. So that we just help me. Please help me mute. Help me mute. Thank you for joining. I'll have the work of muting now. Okay. Okay. So let me just continue. Yeah, so that makes me, like I said, it makes me the only girl in my house, but it's been a very beautiful experience. Okay, so why am I doing this? Why am I talking to grandparents? Like I said, I'm privileged to speak at conferences. I speak at seminars, churches. I talk to parents. Majorly, I talk to parents to help them on their parenting journey and to make the parenting journey easier. And, just to encourage them and to let them know it's possible. You can raise amazing children. Okay. I think my network was unstable, so I was out, but I'm back now. Okay. Yeah, so as I was saying, sorry for that interruption. I pray it stays steady all through. So we're done. Okay, so I get to go to churches and conferences and I speak to parents. And I started noticing that there are some grandparents also around. And I will say, these grandparents around is a different experience. Talking to parents and grandparents is not the same thing. And I just had that and I just kept it aside. And it happened that after a year, I met a particular grandmother and she was sharing an experience with me that one of her friends is having a serious friction with her grandchildren. And at that point, I said, oh my goodness, I have always said I will share with grandparents. So I said, okay, let me just make that move and share with grandparents. And it's a big honor for you to listen to me. You have all the experience, you have all the knowledge, and I'm just one small girl that is just trying to see how to make things better with the remaining years that we have to spend with our grandchildren. Try this. I don't know why my network is funny. Okay. Okay, so I'll be sharing my slides now and we'll just get right into what we have to do today. Be sharing my slides. Okay. I think I should be good now. Please, can we all see my slide? Please let me know if you can see my slide.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you. Thank you. I would have wished we could. I could meet everyone here, and gist with us. But hey, I just want us to get into what we have to do today. And before I start, I want to just tell us congratulations for having the title of being called a grandparent. It's a big honor and it's a privilege by God. That means God still has some work for us to do. So it's a big, big privilege, and I don't want us to take it for granted, and so people say something, there's a question people say, why do grandparents spoil their children? They spoil their grandchildren, but they do not spoil their children. Is that true? That the same grandparents that were very, very strict when we were children, now it's your grandchildren and you're even spoiling them. And when I hear things like that, I tell them that no, they are not meant to really, they don't have that work of training the grandchildren anymore. Grandparents have trained you as a child and they've passed on the baton to you to continue. So right now, they can give sweets, they can give chocolates, they can, they can pamper their grandchildren because that's major work. They have done it in their children. So their children are to pass it on to their grandchildren, right? So I hope I'm on track there, right? Are you fine to give your grandchildren sweets, chocolates, and everything? And it doesn't mean you're spoiling them, but you're pampering them. Because one of the roles of grandparents is to pamper their grandchildren. To pamper their grandchildren. Congratulations on being a grandparent. It's a big, big deal. Congratulations. Okay, so I know what's happening. Okay. So, like I said, it's a big deal to be blessed with such a big honor. It's a very, very big deal. And I want to appreciate my mom. My mom is in the house. I don't know if my dad is here, but my parents are in the house. So they are grandparents. And it's a big privilege to have given birth to me. And now I have children. And hey, we're still here together. Praise God for that privilege. Okay. So I can imagine the prayers, the expectations when our children were expecting their babies. When children are expecting to have children, like when our own children were to have our grandchildren, it was a lot of prayers, expectation, advice, counsel, different things all together. It was just the mix of many, many things happening at the same time. And sometimes you even look at it and say, that little boy or girl that I gave birth to now is now a mommy. It's now a daddy. One thing I joke with a lot is I avoid being called mommy. So when people want to say, Mommy, this, I'm like, hey, my name is Blessing. Let's leave it at that. Somehow in my mind, I'm still 25 years old. I don't know what's going on, but I just enjoy being that child and not wanting to be called mommy or, that's mommy thing. Okay, well done on raising such an amazing child who is now an adult. So I want to ask us, and I want us to unmute ourselves. How many times did you hear well done when you were raising your children? Plenty times, few times, or never? Can I have us say something about that? What?
A few times.
A few times. Thank you. Okay. Okay.
A few times.
Few times. Thank you.
Oh,
It's such a big work that no one even people just. Okay. Hey, can you mute, please? I don't know if I can't hear that very well. I don't know if we're here. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, it's a big deal. And I'm shouting like, how did you do it? We are now parents and we're always like, how did our parents have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? How did they have 6? Like, how did you do it? Hey, I don't know how you did it. But for us, we're like, oh, this work is too much. It's too much. And of course, it's very different also now in our own, our children's generation. The world has changed. It's a different ball game. The world has changed. So you can imagine what is happening. And I'm shouting, well done. And it's a big deal. And I pray that the labor over your children would happen. You will experience it while you're on earth in Jesus' name. You will experience everything that you've done for them. You will see the positive sides and you'll be glad. You'll be happy. You'll be happy with what you see, and your prayers over your children will be answered in Jesus' name. Okay. Amen. Thank you. So grandparents, it's not just the title. What is it? Just knowing that, oh, my child has a child and now I'm a grandparent. And I want to even say something. Yes, I want to say something before we move to this slide. Just in case you're a grandparent and you're not excited about it, maybe because your child gave birth out of wedlock and you're so unhappy that why did this child do this to me? And you're unhappy. I want to encourage you now to accept it with joy, because the innocent child is not aware of the circumstances of his or her birth. So accept that role as a grandparent. Accept it, even if it's not, you think it's the wrong timing. You think, oh, you're ashamed about it. Oh, this should not have happened. I want to encourage you to tell you that, no, don't feel bad. Every life is a miracle. However it comes, every life is a miracle. So embrace it, and it will change how you will respond to your grandchildren in case you feel that way concerning them. Okay, I just said I should add that. Grandparent is not just a title. What next after being called a grandparent? Some of us have 2, some have 10, some have 15, some have 4, depending on the number of grandchildren that you have. You need to ask yourself this question: what kind of grandparent do I want to be? What kind of grandparents do I want to be? It's something that we need to sit and think through. You want to ask yourself, do I want to be that grandparent that my grandchildren can know me as that fun grandparent? Can they know me as someone that will always give them gifts? Can they look forward to whenever I'm coming? Do they know me as that grandparent that will always play with them? Do they know me as that grandparent that will buy sweets and chocolates for them? Do they know me as that grandparent that will never miss their birthdays and will send the gifts to them? We must determine the kind of grandparents that we want to be. Can our grandchildren look and say, oh, I have this thing. My grandma got it for me. I have that thing. My grandpa got it for me. It's something that you have to sit to determine, what kind of grandparents would I love to be? It's very good that we have that conversation with ourselves. And what do I need to achieve my goal? They're just 4 things. Like I said, I'm talking to experienced people in the house, and I'm a small girl here. So I just appreciate and honor the fact that you can listen to me speak. What do you need to achieve your goal of being that grandparent that you want to be? You learn, you relearn, and you unlearn. So these 3 words have become very important words on our parenting journey. That's we that are parenting our children now. We need to learn a lot of things. We need to relearn and we need to unlearn. And grandparents also need to learn. You know, everything has changed, right? So you need to get the knowledge, you need to get the skills to be a great grandparent to your child in this 21st century. Our children our children are different from us. Even we know that our children are different from us. How much more you grandparents? You will know that your grandchildren are very different from the children that you gave birth to. Very, very different. So it's good to learn. After deciding, what do I want to do? It's good to learn. And we relearn also. How do we relearn? Yes, we know we've forgotten lots of things. Everything has changed. It's time to learn something new. We can't hold on to all we've known and say, all I use for my children, then I'm going to now use it for my grandchildren. Some are still needed. I always say the major thing that I see that is the same thing that our parents used in raising us, and we are to use in raising our grandchildren. As I'm a person of faith, so I'm a child of God, I'm born again, Christian. So I always say it's the Bible. The word of God has not changed. The world has changed, but the word of God is constant. It hasn't changed. It's the same. So at least we know that we have one thing that we can also use to talk to our grandchildren, because that's the major constant thing. Maybe what has changed about the Bible is the new versions. And really, if you have a grandchild and you are reading King James Version to them, it's a matter of time. They will say, grandpa, grandma, they are so boring, you know, because they are reading, he collects, thou art the begats, Jesse begats David. Our children don't understand those terms. So your grandchildren will say, which one is begats, you know? Or which one is thou goeth, you know, all those King James English. So there's something we call International Children Bible. It's a version of the Bible. They've broken it down so our children can understand it. Our children can, you know, embrace it. It resonates with them. The English are very, very simple. It's called International Children's Version Bible. It's also on, you can have it as an app. You can have the app whereby your grandchildren, because they are tablet generation anyway. So they can actually have it, download it, and you show them. Okay. So relearn. We talked about relearning. Then unlearn. Oh, the unlearn parts can be very tough, because there are many things that we knew, and all of a sudden, those things are being challenged. There are some approaches that we used, you know, in raising our children as grandparents that now we're like, if I had known better, maybe I would have done things better. So we need to unlearn those things, because trust me, they are still there. The same way you spoke to your children, those negative way, if we don't delete them, if we don't fight them, we'll find ourselves unconsciously saying it to that grandchild that is not behaving in the right way that we want him to behave. Okay? And the 4th one is application of new information. So information is power, but application of knowledge is more power. So when we can apply what we have learned, like today now, the moment we are done, we just start applying immediately. That's the beauty of application. The moment you just learn something, just start to apply immediately. And you'll see that, oh, okay, it works fine. Okay. All right. Okay. So did you know do you know there are names for the generation you were born into, your children were born into, and now your grandchildren were born into? Do you know that there are different names? So we have the silent generation or traditionalists. They were born between 1900 to 1945. They call them the silent generation. We have the baby boomers born between 1946 to 1964. They're called baby boomers. So I'm sure we have people here. So what generation were you born into? Let me know the generation you were born into. Are we here? So were you born in the baby boomers generation, or the silent generation, or the generation X generation? So there are names for generation.
Next generation.
What generation, please?
X generation.
X generation. Thank you so much. So I know we'll have baby boomers.
Boomers.
Okay, boomers. Okay. Thank you for interacting. So we have the generation X, yes, born between 1965 to 1980. We have millennials or generation Y, we call them Gen Y. They were born between 1981 to 1995. Some of us, or most of us, might have children, around that millennials or generation Y generation. We also have the generation Z or the I generation. I'm sure we've been hearing generation Z, right? Generation Z were born between 1996 to 2010. And we have the generation Alpha, born between 2011 to 2025. So that's the generation Alpha. So we still have them. They're still coming. They're still coming on. So most of our grandchildren will be generation Z or generation Alpha children. And we're going to talk about who these children are. Why are they like this? Why are they challenging me? Why are these children like this? We'll talk about that soon. Okay, so this is just what we said now. Gen Alpha, the most formally educated generation in history, beginning school earlier, studying longer. And the Gen Z, we call them the iPad generation. They're the first to not know life before the internet. It's interesting when I tell my princess that when we were little, the television will come on at 4 p.m. and it will have different colors, lines of colors with one sound. And we're waiting for the TV to come on. And it is the adults that will even watch, and they love to watch news alone. Our children can't wrap their head around it. Because now, anytime they switch on the television, it's always on. There's always something playing. So our children do not know life before. They don't even know that there was no internet. When we're in the university, we just had phones that could do text message. There was no WhatsApp. There was no Facebook. There was nothing, so that's the generation that we were born into. So you see why we have to empathize with our grandchildren and understand what they're going through. That these children, sorry, you don't know a life without tablets, television, phones. I always empathize with them because I want to see children play. So when children are not playing and they're always on their tablets, I get worried, like, can you just play, please? Play with yourselves, right? Okay. So we have the Gen Z, we have the Gen X, we talked about it. We talked about the baby boomers, we talked about the builders. Okay. So let's go run along. So 5 generations working side by side. Okay, so look at this picture now. And for the baby boomers, it was always, we're writing letter then, post office, right? We go to the post office, you post a letter. It can take a long time before the person will see it. So it was all about writing. Okay, so the Gen X, they moved a little bit and they could call, they could call. And we have the Gen Y, email. So they say, email me. It's email. Then now we have the Gen Z. It's text messages. And when you send that text message now, in seconds, it will get to where it will get to. So we see that the world has evolved. And because the world has evolved, we cannot stay where we used to stay and say, no, these children, what is wrong with them? We have to flow with them, understanding that there was a time that I will write letter and take it to the post office, and it will take a month before it gets to where it's getting to. So we should empathize with our grandchildren and try to understand them. That there is what they see, that they are reacting with the way they have seen things. We call them Indomie generation. You know why? They want things sharp, now. That's what they want. They like to have things now. They don't know how to be patient care. Some of us, when we were still working, I'm sure lots of us are retired now. And when some of us were working, we rarely changed jobs, because job security, especially with the government, was very, very important then. So you say, look for a job with government. Now we don't even want a job with government. We don't even want a job. We just want to do business by ourselves. So when we ask children, so I get to talk to young children, teenagers, and I ask them, what would you like to be when you grow up? Guess what? I don't get to hear anything like doctor, lawyers, engineers. No. Do you know what I hear? Let me gist us. So when I ask teenagers, I teach teenagers. So I ask them, what do you want to do? What have you thought about? You know what they say? They say they want to be dancers. They want to be comedians. They want to be content creators. They want to be YouTubers. They want to be footballers. Can you see how much everything has changed? And you'll be looking at, I reject it in Jesus' name. Everything you said, I didn't hear doctor. I didn't hear nursing. I didn't hear engineers. I didn't hear lawyers. But guess what? That's what they have met. That's where their mind is. They are not where we are at all. So I'm trying to let us know that we need to understand our grandchildren. Okay, we need to understand them. Are we getting anything already? Please let me know if we're ready, if we're getting something. Let me know. Just unmute and say yes or no, yes, no, and mute back.
Yes.
Thank you. Are we getting something? I want to be sure I'm not alone here.
Of us here, we are really
enjoying. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, let's just flow. So we have the millennials and we have the Gen Z. That's the Generation Z. So now I can, I've explained a little bit. Okay. Thank you. You can remember to mute. You can mute. Thank you. Madam Stella Owolabi. Thank you. Please help me mute. Okay. Let me just continue. Okay. So the millennials grew up during an economic boom. They tend to be idealistic. I want to see if I can mute the person. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So the millennials, we said they were focused on having experiences, and they prefer brands that share their values. They prefer Facebook, Instagram. So we always laugh and say that with the millennials have left Facebook for the baby boomers. They have left Facebook. So Facebook is now for the baby boomers, for grandpa and grandma. You don't really get to see grandpa and grandmas on Instagram, Snapchat. They don't get bothered with that. Facebook is where they stay, right? So the Gen Z, they're focused on saving money. That's why they're not saying they want to be lawyers, they want to be doctors, they want to make money, sharp money, you know, and they prefer Snapchat, Instagram. They want to keep showing their pictures, you know, they want to just keep making friends online. So they're very, very different from us. Okay, so we're diving into what we're really here to do today. So for most of us here, I said my grandchildren are mostly Gen Z and Gen Alpha children. Most of us are children and millennials, and our grandchildren are Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So Gen Z children, they're tech savvy, also the Gen Alpha. But you see the Gen Alpha children, they took it to a higher level, because by the time they came, they already met iPhone, iPads, tablets. The Gen Z, they understand technology quickly. The Gen Alpha, those tiny ones, those tiny grandchildren you have, they don't know a world without technology and social media. So they learn technology faster than adults. They will take your phone. As your grandchildren taking your phone before, the phone you've had for many years, and they will go to places you haven't been to. They know how to operate everything. You're holding the phone, you just go on WhatsApp, you go on text message, you go on calls, you just stay simple, pictures, but they will go somewhere, you know. So what I did with my phone, my children do not have access to my phone at all. My children don't have access. My children don't have access to my phone. And because what I did is there are no games on my phone at all. No, not one game. I took it out completely. So the only time my children hold my phone is when I have a call or they want to see their baby pictures. So that type of situation, you see that, okay, please help me mute. Thank you. Mute. So that everything is quiet. Okay, thank you for joining. So they are very tech savvy. They don't need to learn what to do on your phones and tablets. They just flow into it, right? They don't need to. And the Gen Z children, they have unconventional way of doing things. They're highly expressive. The Generation Alpha children, remember, there are lots of similarities, but the Generation Alpha children now took it to a higher level, like technology. They just get it. They're highly expressive. They tell you how they feel. They tell you what is wrong with them. They're highly, highly expressive. They just, express themselves freely. And they're highly inquisitive. Oh my goodness. They are curious. So when they're asking questions, I want us to know that they are not rude. See, our grandchildren, they don't understand what it means to be rude. So when an adult says children are rude, they don't get it, because they can be asking a question. But because we are not used to that, we find ourselves, because we're not used to that, we find ourselves saying that, oh, this child is rude. But they're just asking you a question. Grandma, when are you leaving? Grandma, what did you do when you were this age? Grandma, how old are you? Grandpa. They are not rude. They are just highly expressive. They don't know how to pretend. They say things as they are. That's who they are. They don't know how to pretend in any way. And they have fast acquisition of knowledge. They acquire things very fast. And the Gen Alpha children have low attention span. So they don't know how to take things in for too long. Their attention span is very, very low. Even we adults, research has shown that we adults, our attention span has become very, very low. We don't know how to concentrate on serious things for a very long time. We'll start pressing our phones, we start getting bored, we start getting tired, and it's the same with the grandchildren that you have. They prefer visual learning. They prefer pictures. Oh my goodness, they love to see what you are saying. That's how they learn. They like to see pictures, they like to see colors. That's how they like to learn. Like when I was doing this slide, I was telling myself that I'm doing this slide for most people and that are baby boomers or Generation X, so we don't care about pictures, colorful. Let's just have it worded. I was trying to flow into our generation. I don't know if I was wrong or right, but I was like, they don't want pictures and let's just give it the way they like it, right? So they are very impatient. They're impatient. And like I said, we call them the microwave generation. They want things sharp. They want things sharp to happen, right? So if you have questions as I flow, you can just write out the questions so that you don't forget. When we're done, we'll take questions and answer. Okay. So how do we now handle our children? Oh, okay. Let me see. Okay. Our roles with our grandchildren. What are our roles with our grandchildren? We have roles, right? The first thing I said here is that we have to understand and accept each grandchild for who they are and not what we want them to be. That might be a little bit difficult because if you have noticed as grandparents, you've noticed that we have something that when we were growing up, myself as a child, when I was growing up, I was not hearing things like special needs children, additional needs children, neurodivergence, I wasn't hearing that. But now, we now hear a lot of special needs children. We hear that. And we can see that, special needs children, what if my grandchild is a special needs child? That's not what you want to be. That's not what you wanted to have. Even your child, you need to empathize with your child a lot because it's a lot of struggle, battle that your child is experiencing. So I call that an unexpected parenting journey, unplanned. It wasn't expected, it wasn't planned. But okay, now that it's here, I didn't expect it, but I have to understand this child. Your child is autistic. You have to understand that child. Your child has some health challenges. You have to understand. And most importantly, you have to accept that child. That's way to help you to understand the child. It will help you to understand the child. It will help you to see things in a different way. Some grandparents like the children that look like them. Yes, we know you like the grandchildren that look like you or took your attitude or your behavior. You feel, yes, this is a sharp one. I like this one. But that is not what we're meant to do as grandparents. We're meant to understand each child because every child is different. No child is better than one child. The pleasantness of one child is different from the pleasantness of another child. A child that likes to talk a lot has the same special, unique traits as a child that likes to be quiet. So you have to understand each children, observe your grandchildren and understand them. Who is this, my grandchild? Understand them and accept them for who they are, not what we want them to be. They can look like your in-laws. Sorry about that. It's genes. It's not the child's fault. So we have to accept that grandchild. When your parents give training, give them instructions, and emphasize it. You know, that's one work that you have to do as grandparents. Emphasize, oh, your parents said this thing, and this is why they are saying this. So they said, don't take that thing from the pot, or don't take that juice now. Maybe today, maybe you go to visit your grandchildren, and that day is not juice day, you know. And once you have that information, and your children have stepped out of the house, and the grandchildren want to take the juice, it's our duty to say, you know, your parents already said today is not juice day, so you're not taking juice today. So emphasize on what their parents have said and give good reasons for that. Love and connect through play. Our grandchildren love to play. They're still children. So they want to play and play and play. So when you're a grandparent and you are not playing, you are always that serious grandparent, they will just start to avoid you quietly, nicely. They will just see that they are not coming around you. When their friends also come around, play with them. Ask them, what is your name? What's your best color? What do you like? You know, just talk to them and appreciate them. Okay, so love, love, love. Love is so, so important. Love, you don't go wrong with love. You don't go wrong with loving anybody. Love does magic. When you express love to people and they can feel the love, you say it, you show it, they will accept you. Communication. You learn to communicate to your children, to your grandchildren, in the language they understand. Step down to their level. Try to listen to things. Sometimes you have to watch their cartoons so that you can communicate with them and say, that cartoon you were watching, who is Dora and Friends? Oh, okay. Who is Naruto? Oh, I like this about this person. I like this person in your cartoon likes to sing. Try to communicate with them in the language that they understand. Very, very important. And teach them and share things with them. What do you share with them? Share with them your stories. Share with them the stories of when you were growing up. Try to remember when you were a child also. They need those stories. It helps them know that you didn't just jump overnight and became a grandparent, but you came from, just let them know that, you know, when I was 5 years old, I love to eat, let's say I love to drink pap a lot. And they'll say, oh, pap, I don't like pap. So that's where you see that you're communicating with them. Teach them. Teach many things that you know. Teach them, you can teach their schoolwork if you know it. Teach them the word of God, very, very important. Teach them values. Children of nowadays, most of them are losing values. Teach them what the culture says. Some of our children do not know about culture anymore. The grandparents around, you can still teach them culture and let them know that, yes, there's something called culture. Teach them the culture. You know, some have them to kneel down, the girls kneel down, prostrate. Let them know that that's the culture. If that's the culture of your, you know, your own tribe, maybe you're Yoruba, you can tell your grandchildren, I know that you don't know that kneeling down with your 2 knees is what we used to do then, is our culture. Prostrating, flat down is our culture. So teach them lots of things. Also be kind and be firm. Don't spoil your grandchildren, but be kind and be firm. Let them know the difference. Kindness and firmness. That means you are playing with them and they also know when, oh, grandma means business here. Not like they can't even tell what the difference is. But you must be kind and you must be firm at the same time. Some people are too firm alone. Some grandparents are too firm. Leave that place. Don't take that thing. Are you the only one? Why are you like this? What kind of child are you? No, they will only be firm. Then they will leave kindness. They don't applaud the child. They don't celebrate the child. It will make them run away from us. We don't want them to run away from us. We don't, right? Pamper them. I said the other time that it's grandparents' duty to pamper. It's the major work of their parents to really, really train them. Because as grandparents, you have passed on the baton to your children. So it's time for you to pamper your grandchildren. Give them gifts. Why not? Buy gifts for them. Observe each child. Know the kind of cartoon they like. Know the kind of, they call them cartoon creatures or something else. Their names, they call them, maybe they like Superman, they like Spider-Man, they like different things. They like Barney, they like, just as they grow, just want to know, what do you like now? So when you're buying a t-shirt, you're buying a t-shirt that has the name of someone they like, a superhero that they like, and they will say, wow, oh my goodness, I really, really love it. Okay, what's going on? Okay. So that's good to do. So that's that. Okay, I'm trying to mute everyone so that we have a very organized house. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you. For those that came late, we'll have the replay, so you'll be able to watch the replay. No problem. Okay. So pamper your grandchildren. That's what you are there for. Yes. Give them sweets. It's okay. Even if you don't take sweets anymore, give them sweets. Buy them pizza. They like pizza. They like chocolates. They like, what again do they like? They like small chops. They have certain things that they love, that our children love to have. So teach them, pamper them, like I said, pamper them a lot, give them things. At least, one thing I remember about my maternal grandmother is that she would give me money. I can't forget. She would give me money when I was little. I was in primary school. So you can see, I can't forget. She would give me plenty money. But, she will not end it in a funny way. You know what she will say? She will say, don't tell your mother. She will collect it from you. And being a child that my mother had told me, when anybody gives you money, you surrender. So I would take the money and give my mom, and she would say, but I told you that you should not tell your mother. But guess what? I can't forget that experience. And she used to buy me wristwatch. I remember she used to buy, there was one particular wristwatch we had those years. It had water inside. So she would just buy that wristwatch and give me, and I can't forget. My paternal grandmother, she will always pray. We knew the things she used to say. She will always pray for you. And our prayer was simple. She will say something like, Onoashi, Onoala. That was what she used to say. And I can never forget. So, sometimes when I'm just doing something and I remember, I'm like, no, Onoashi, Onoala. It means the road will always be open for you. Everything will always open up to you. So somehow we'll always remember, what our grandparents have done in our lives as children. So that's why we said you should know the kind of grandparents you want to be, so that you can decide that this is what I want to do with my grandchildren, and they will never forget it. Be the voice of encouragement in the lives of your grandchildren. Encourage them. Tell them you can do it. Oh, you didn't make it this time, you will make it again. Keep trying. I see it in you. Be the voice of encouragement in their lives. Prayer, very important. I'm sure most of us spend our time praying for our grandchildren, mentioning each name almost every morning. And it's a beautiful thing to do. So it's our role to pray for them and to counsel them. It's our duty. It's your duty as grandparents to do that. It's a duty as grandparents to do that. Okay, let's talk about our preteen and teenage grandchildren. Our pre-teenagers that are grandchildren, our grandchildren that are teenagers and preteens, see, they're very different from the little ones. You know why? They are trying to understand who they are. They are just trying to have an identity of themselves. So you can notice some things about them. And let me tell you something so that you need to understand about your preteens and teenagers. The part of their brain that has to do with logical reasoning, it doesn't fully develop until age 25. You see, that reasoning, that one that is reasoning, is still developing. till their age 25. So they can do things and we feel, you are older than this. Why would you be doing this? I thought you are the older one. No, you shouldn't talk to them like that. You will break their spirits. You will discourage them. So what do you do with them? Now that you understand that they are just trying to find their balance, trying to find themselves, play with them, problem solve together. So try to play with them. Try to know what is going on in their lives. Try to know what they like to watch so you can interact with them in that manner. Because when you want to talk to people, you must have a particular thing to start with. There must be something of interest to that person. That's why they will continue having that conversation with you or not. So find out what they like and gist with them. You gist with them. You pray with them. So I was supposed to say play, pray, and problem solve together. So there's no pray here. So you play with them, you pray with them, and you problem solve with them. There are many things that they want to solve. They don't know how to. Tell them, let's discuss. Let's discuss. Some of your teenagers already having, maybe they're boys or girls, and they're having the opposite sex saying, I like you. You're not going to say, I don't want to hear anything like that. Are you a bad child? No. Advise them, counsel them, teach them what to do, tell them how to respond, tell them how to answer, pray with them, hold their hands and pray with them. Let them know, oh, you're going through a particular issue, no problem, let's pray about it. And when you finish praying, you go and meet God. God, answer, so that this my grandchild can know that you exist, so they can believe in you. So you problem solve together. So I formed this as plug so that we'll remember. I formed this as plug so that you remember. Listen to them. So plug means play, listen to them, understand them, and guide them. So I want us to just remember. So I left it as plug. So the L says listen to them. Teenagers love it when we listen to them and we do not interrupt them. They want us to listen to them. Don't say anything. We know, like I said, we all have experiences, big experiences. I'm a small girl here right now talking to us because we all have experiences. So we might be tempted to want to start giving advice immediately. But no, let's hold on and listen to what they're saying. Now you listen to what they are saying, and you also listen to what they are not saying. So you can observe their mood. You can see that this child looks sad. This child feels down. What is going on? Listen to them when they speak. If they come and say, something happened to me in school today. Hi, grandma. If you see what happened today, the teacher came inside the class. And can you imagine? The teacher just there beating everybody. Don't say, hey, maybe you too, you did something wrong. That's why they beat you. Don't say that. Listen to what they have to say. And when you are done listening, empathize with them, that I know how you feel. Validate their feeling. I know how it must have hurt really bad, right? I can imagine. I know it's hurt so bad. I know how it feels, right? So listen to them. The U there says, understand your preteen and teenager grandchild. Understand them. Understand they're trying to find an identity of themselves. They're already conscious of themselves. Some boys are already having beards, or their tone is already changing. You know, they're already conscious. The girls are already having breasts and they're having shape, and some of them are even adding weight. They don't like it. So you need to understand that they're struggling. They're struggling so hard to find an identity of who they are. Why not? You can take them out. So just only two of you go to a particular eatery. Just go and eat, just so that you can just discuss and tell them, I understand you. Especially if you notice that their parents, which is your children, do not understand them. Let them know that I'm with you. I understand you. They're trying to know who they are. Share your experiences when you were a teenager. How did you pull through that slippery path of life? How did you make it? Tell them, and they would always remember. They will never, ever forget. The G says, guide without criticism and judgment. This one. This one is tempting, right? Because we have some teenage children, especially children that are outside Nigeria. Maybe the boys have their hair made, or, they want to wear earring and chain. And as grandparents, the baby boomers, you do not get it. You do not understand it. You do not even like it. How do you guide them without criticizing them and judging them? Guide them. Ask them questions around tattoo, things like that. You want to know, what do you think about it? I have my children, they are boys, so we talk about tattoo. And they were the ones that told me that Ronaldo does not have a tattoo because or maybe I was the one that told them that Ronaldo does not have tattoo because Ronaldo is a footballer. For those that don't know who Ronaldo is one of the best footballers in the world. And he's very fashionable. He's a footballer, he's very focused. So there are many advantages, many good things about him that children can actually, watch and learn from. He's very focused. He likes to win, things like that. So we discuss those things. And he doesn't have tattoo at all. And in an interview, they asked him, they said, why don't you have tattoo? And he said, so that he can donate blood. So I was telling my princess, I said, do you know that why Ronaldo does not have a tattoo? That once he has a tattoo, he can't donate blood. And he likes to help people. He feels that, he has a particular genotype a blood group that can give people blood. So he wants to donate blood. So he didn't put any tattoo on his body. So have conversations with them. Don't judge them. Don't get to your children's house and you just hate the way your teenage grandchild looks. Immediately you're like, what is all this? Why are you looking like this? Why are you looking unkempt? When you go to their room and their room is untidy, calm down with them and say, this your room is very interesting. What plans do you have to even put it in shape? Because I want to come and visit you in your room. Just have playful conversations with them so that they can listen to us. Okay, we'll soon run along. Soon stop. Okay, we talked about this. Talked about this. Okay, so we're rounding up. Very, very soon we would stop. Okay. Let me know, are we together? Are we getting something? Please just unmute and let me know if you're getting something already, if you can hear me loud and thank you. Okay, so we're getting something. Oh, beautiful, awesome. Okay, so now, this one is there's a lot. Can you hear me? Okay, you're getting something already, right? Thank you. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack in this slide. I will try. God will help me. I will try. Now, I say here that a healthy parent-child relationship equals to healthy grandparent experience. Let me explain what that means. If you have a good relationship with your children, it will help your grandparents' experience to be a beautiful one. So that's how it flows. If you have a healthy relationship with your children right now, it will be a walk in the park with your grandchildren. But if the relationship with your children is a little bit strained, it will affect a beautiful experience with your grandchildren. So healthy parent-child relationship equals to healthy grandparent experience. So when you go to your children's home, it's now their home. So what do? You want to ask, are there home rules and boundaries in this place? Remember, they are your children, but they are no longer under your roof. They are no longer with you anymore, right? You don't have that control like you had. Remember, I said you have passed on the baton to your children. So your children are now holding that baton now in their home. What you all did as grandparents when you were younger, that's what we are trying to do with our children. So we are saying the relationship you have with your children will help the experience you have with your grandchildren when you visit. So when you get there, you want to ask, what are the rules here? What are the home rules? What are the home rules here? What are the boundaries? Where is the place I can't touch? Where is the place I shouldn't go to? Where is there something I should not touch? Is there something I shouldn't say? Is there a place I shouldn't, you want to ask, yes, because yes, the grandchildren are watching. And they want to know if you as a grandparent, you just come to their house and you just want to take charge and they're like, what's going on here? This is our home. That's where some people start having frictions with their grandchildren. So you want to ask your own children, do you have boundaries in your home? What are the home rules? Is there a certain time I must come back if I go out? Do you put off something at a certain time? You want to ask so that there will be no clash, so that you and your children do not start having clashes and your grandchildren are watching, they're observing, and they do not like what they are saying. So it's a lot of work for us as grandparents. We have to ask for boundaries and respect the boundaries. We have to respect the boundaries, right? We just have to respect the boundaries. Okay. So someone raised hand. Is it intentional? Okay. I don't know if it's intentional. Okay, but I've seen that hand. Okay, let's continue. We have questions and answers when we're done. So we will take all the questions and answers as we continue. Thank you. All right. So the third thing is when you're in your grandchildren's house. Now, that's what I'm talking about. When you are in your grandchildren's house, that's in their home. Encourage your own children and give grace to your grandchildren. Encourage your children to love. Yes, encourage them to love their children and to also give grace to your grandchildren. So you know what happens sometimes whereby your children want to discipline your grandchildren. You can encourage them to just, you just encourage them that please, give grace. You're not stopping, or you're not trying to stop the consequence. You're not trying to stop the punishment. You're not trying to stop the discipline, rather. You're just trying to tell them that give grace to your grandchildren, and love them. That's what we're trying to do. Okay? And also, avoid the temptation of stopping consequences given to your grandchildren by their own parents. So there's that temptation. There's that temptation that when your children want to discipline or give consequence, because I've seen a situation whereby a parent told their own child that go and kneel down. And the grandma said, get up, get up. Didn't you do worse when you were young? And you see something is wrong there? Seriously wrong. Something is very, very wrong in that situation. So avoid that temptation. I know you love your grandchildren, you love them, but you have to avoid the temptation of stopping consequences given to your grandchildren. Let them have the consequence. There's a way we learn. Let them learn also. Reinforce the home rules and training to your grandchildren. So remember, I said when you get to the home of your children, you want to know the rules. You want to know the boundaries. You want to know the values, the family values of your children. You want to ask them, do you have family values? So that when you are not, their parents are not around, or you are talking to your grandchildren, you want to reinforce it and let them know that in your home, you don't do this thing. Your parents say no to this. In your home, you love, you give, you're kind. You want to reinforce what their parents are telling them. And when you're also in your grandchildren's home, hey, this is very important. Never compare your grandchildren with each other. Never compare your grandchildren that you prefer grandchild A or grandchild B, maybe grandchild A looks like us. So, hey, this is my child. This is my own. And you prefer, don't ever compare. Or you say, can't you see your brother is faster than you? Why are you so slow? Don't do that. No. Or don't say, my good child. And the other one hears nothing. That grandchild is already resenting. That grandchild is already resenting you as a grandparent and saying, what is wrong with this, my grandmom or granddad? Why are they even in my house? So don't do that. Don't say, your brother will finish his food. You will refuse to eat your food. What is wrong with you? Or you like food too much. Can't you see your sister? Can't you see how your sister eats? You don't even know how to behave. You're always playing. You don't even know anything. Don't do that. No, never compare. Children are different. Very, very different. And everybody have the flavor that they're bringing in. Every child is different. So that quiet child has power as much as that child that is shouting and extroverted and all over the place. The quiet child has equal power, but in another form. So never compare them, or don't compare them and say that your other cousin is better than you. That your other cousin does things nicely than you. Don't do that. It hurts children and it makes them resent you and run away from you. When you also visit your grandchildren, dress nicely, dress neatly. When you are in the home, let them be proud to tell their friends, that's my granddad, that's my grandma. Let them be proud when they look at you. Let them say, yes, I like what I see. That's my, don't let them be ashamed. Why are they always dressing like this? Dress nicely, look nice, look neat when you're in the house. Don't just say a tie wrapper that was there. I'll just be tying the wrapper. There's no problem. Don't do that. Don't do that. Children do not like it. They don't like it and they don't understand it. Okay. So how do you manage conflicts between your child and in-law? Understanding that your grandchildren are watching. Conflicts must happen. Conflicts will happen. There's nothing wrong with conflicts. Conflicts are part of our lives. It helps us to understand each other. So you definitely see that you might have conflict with your children and your in-laws, but you must have it at the back of your mind that my grandchildren are watching. So how do you manage the conflict? Accept that conflict between your child and in-law. Accept they are normal, like I said. Remember, it's a battle of generation clash. So, there are things that we feel it's okay, and you, generation, baby boomers, feel, no, it's not okay, it's not okay. Sometimes that's just the clash. For example, let me give a good example. So personally, growing up, we don't take the meat or chicken, the protein. You don't eat it until you are done with the food. That was how we grew up. And we now realize why our parents did it. Our parents did it because they wanted us to finish the food. So they will say, don't eat your meat or fish until you are done eating, right? So now we have children. So as adults, I still do it. As annoying as it sounds, it's my food now. Shebi, I will finish the food, but I will still eat everything, then wait to have the meat or chicken. So I was telling myself, what kind of conditioning is this? I'm an adult now. I can eat my protein in between meals. Why am I stuck just eating, the meat or chicken after the food? So I told myself and my husband, we said, we'll leave our children to eat their protein in between the meals. It's fine, and we do that. So when they do that, but we now realize that later, the younger ones started finishing the meat and they will say, I don't want to eat anymore. We said, oh, our parents were so wise. That's why they were doing these things. But at the same time, we don't want to condition our children. So what do? So we gave rules. We said, okay, if you know that you will finish the food, you can have your meat even from the beginning. It's okay, it doesn't bother me. So far you finish that food. We will fight if you do not finish that food. So it's a battle of generation clash. There are things that are acceptable to me and can be unacceptable to you as a grandparent. Now, if you why are you doing this? Why are you allowing this? So it's a battle of generation clash. There's nothing wrong. It's just a battle. We're in different generations. That is all. So reduce retraining your child in their home, especially in your grandchildren's presence. I know parenting is for life. We continue to, every grandparent here, we're still bothered about our children. We are still worried about them. We're still thinking about them. So sometimes when we visit or when we meet or when they come over, we see that somehow as a grandparent, you find yourself still trying to train your children in the presence of the grandchildren, and your child may not like it. So that can cause friction because your child may feel like, you're not even encouraging me. Why are you always seeing the wrong that I do? Won't you even encourage me? And before you know what is happening, there's a clash, there's a little fight, but the grandchildren are watching. So reduce retraining them in front of your grandchildren. Just say it with wisdom in a nice way, or call them to a corner and tell your children what you want to tell them. Speak to your children with respect. In the presence of your grandchildren, yes, your children, I know you gave birth to them. I know you remember how tiny they were, but you want to speak to them with respect. Don't disrespect them in front of your grandchildren because I'm the mother, I'm the father. No, don't do that. Avoid correcting your child in presence of your grandchildren. I think we talked about that. Follow their rules. When you get to your children's home, follow the rules and boundaries in that home, especially with the domestic workers. Some of your children have drivers, they have house help. There's a way your children already, they have contracts with those people and they know how they're following through. Just follow the rules. Because the moment you start scattering the rules, you start having friction with your children and your grandchildren are watching. If you are wrong, intentionally apologize. There's nothing wrong in saying you're sorry. I made a mistake. I should not have said that. I should not have done that. I'm sorry. We can do that. There's nothing wrong in doing that. We can do that. There's nothing wrong. Okay, and when your grandchildren visit you, set boundaries. Yes, they've come to spend holiday with grandma and grandpa. There must be boundaries. A car that does not have brakes will keep going and going. There must be boundaries. Your children must understand. Grandchildren must understand that there are boundaries in my home. Then when I get to my grandparents' home, to their boundaries then. Set boundaries too. Display kindness and firmness. We talked about that. Allow play within a certain area in your home. Yeah, let your children play. Don't say, they don't break this thing. I don't want you to break this thing. So because I don't want you to break this thing, sit down there. You sit down there. You sit down there. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. Allow them to play, right? And when they finish playing, insist that they clean up the mess. Don't clean up for them. Remember, you can also train them. So insist that they clean up. They come to your house. Yes, I know they've come to your house. But when they mess up anything, when they eat their food, let them clear their plates. Don't say, grandma will help you. Grandpa will pack it. Let them do it. When they're in your home, the moment they come to spend holiday, that baton, you collect a little bit from your children and you try to see that they don't leave your house spoiled. Because the question I have when parents talk to me, they say, Blessing, what happens when my children go to my mom's house, but my mom is always spoiling them? And I don't like it. My mom will not allow them do anything. Don't do that. When they come to visit you, insist they clean up after a mess. They scatter the living room, clean up, tidy it. They eat their food, wash your plates. They should learn to do those things in your home also. Bedtime routine should also be welcome. You want to ask them, what time do you sleep at home? So that you can follow through. They should not come to grandma and grandpa's house and they are awake till 2 a.m. Even if the bedtime routine in their home was 8:30, okay, maybe you can add 30 minutes to be nice and say, okay, 9, but I know most grandparents sleep early anyway, so maybe even 6, you've gone to sleep, right? So adult channels are not for children, and this should be emphasized. Don't watch African Magic with your grandchildren. It does not concern them. Don't watch, once you see you're watching an adult channel and it's written maybe 18 plus, or 13 plus, and they're not in that age bracket, don't bother. Just let them know that this is adult channel. You can't watch it. Except is there's some Christian channels that are good for all, family channels. That's what you should watch. But you see those African magic that grandparents love, Z World, all those things that don't concern you, to let them know they're adult channel. And because they will have adult content. So don't worry, it's not for you. You watch your cartoon when it's your time for your cartoon, but don't watch this one. Let them know. Okay, and the toolkits that are needed. Toolkits that are needed to have love, words and action. Love, say it and show it. Let there be love in how we, like, tell your grandchildren, I love you, I love you. When you are gone, let them remember. Grandma used to say, I love you, I love you. Let them remember. Don't let them say, Grandma, I understand grandparents in the house. I understand that a lot of us did not grow up that way. Nobody said it to us. We didn't hear it. But I want to encourage us that in planning for the kind of grandparents you want to be, you might want to be intentional about saying, I love you to your grandchildren, and show it through words, through action. Observe. Observation and knowledge is needed. Remember, I said, oh, understand each child. But you will not understand each child if you don't observe them. That one that is jumping around, you want to say, this child looks like this child will be good in sports. It's not, go and sit down, just only you, just be jumping. You want to look and say, this child is going to be good with aerobics. That child that likes dancing, say, wow, this is good. Your parents might want to enroll you in a dancing class. Observe them and study about what you've observed. The child that likes to read a lot, observe them, ask them questions, and connect before correction. You cannot get to your grandchildren's house and you don't have a good relationship with them and you want to start correcting them immediately. No, you must connect with them first. They must understand that, oh, grandpa and grandma are here to love me and not to boss me around. Because see, they see their home as their home. They don't see it as, they don't even know why you are there. So they see it as our home. So the moment you start buzzing them around, they're like, what is going on here? Why are these people behaving like this? So connect before you correct them and communicate effectively. Step down to their level. Speak the language they understand. Talk to them like with the ages. There's something called age-appropriate conversation. You talk to the children. You remember when they do something, remember that this child is a child. This child is 4. This child is 6. Oh, they're not a bad child. This child is behaving like the age. A 2-year-old child that takes something and pours it, takes water and pours it on the rug is not a bad child. The child is 2 years old. The child is not bad. The child is acting his or her age. So you have to understand that. Understand that, oh, this child is acting. So you want to communicate with that child based on their age. Remember that they have their own ages. Encourage your grandchildren, very important. And if you have to discipline them at all, positively discipline them. That means you communicate with them, you ask them questions. When they do anything, the first question you want to ask is, why did you do that? What happened? You want to know why. Before you start shouting on them, even if it's very bad, ask why. Children will always tell you why they have done something. So ask, why did you do it? And let them know, grandma is not happy with you. For doing that, grandpa is not happy with you. Why did you do that? Because sometimes you're asking, let me give a good example. There was a time that something happened between my 2 princes. The older one, the first one, Prince 1 and Prince 3. And there was this argument. So I wasn't there, but I could hear from maybe the kitchen. So by the time I went to meet them, I was like, what is going on? What is happening here? And my Prince 3 was already crying. And I was like, why are you crying? He said Prince 1 collected something from him. If I was not patient, I would just say, you two, just leave him. He's a child. But I asked Prince 1, I said, why did you collect it? He said, Mom, he was going to hurt himself. That was why I collected it. Do you understand? So if I did not ask, so you see 2 children holding each other, you want to ask why. The first thing to do is to ask why. Even if you want to say, go to your room and sleep, or you want to say, I'll tell your parents when they come. Always ask why. Why are you doing this thing? We've talked about kindness and firmness. I've talked about play. Every grandparent needs to learn how to play. Play, play, play. Try to remember how to play. Play with your grandchildren. Play with your grandchildren. Very, very important. Play, play, play. Okay. So tips on building a healthy relationship with your grandchildren. This is the last one, and we will call it a day. Listen to understand, not criticize or judge. Remember to listen when they speak. Listen to understand. Don't listen to have something to advise or counsel. Understand where they're coming from. Remember these children that we have. They don't know a world without phones. They don't know a world without laptops. They don't know a world without television being on 24/7. They don't know a world without tablets. That's what they know. They don't understand this, that you will say, there was a time we didn't have phones. They don't get it. So we have to understand where they're coming from. We have to understand what they've seen. They saw COVID-19. They saw everybody in the home. They saw the world shut down for a whole year. Some of us didn't even see that. So it tells you that they are very, very different children. They have seen things that we haven't seen. Also, we have seen more things than they haven't seen, but everything is now different, especially with what technology has to offer. Avoid favoritism among grandchildren. That one, is very important. Don't say you like one. Don't ever let your grandchildren sense that you like one child more than them. Don't even let it happen. If you want to favor one person, favor all of them. In your mind, you know who you want to favor. Except, maybe a child has done something and you want to celebrate the child specially so that the others can be encouraged. But don't make the other ones now look like, hey, nothing about us. Avoid favoritism. It's not good. Avoid it, especially that child that looks like you. And you say, this one looks like this one. This one looks like me. It's not right. And talk with your grandchildren. Teach them your native language. Yes, you can teach them your native language. Most of our children are not, they're not speaking this language, and we're like, oh my goodness, we just wish they would. We're trying our best, but also do your own. Your parts before you leave us, and play with your grandchildren. We said that play with them, roll on the floor with them, do hotsy. I know we are tired, it's not like before, but let them see that they are playing with me. Musical chair, dance around, dance and freeze. These are things that we can do with our grandchildren. Play words with them, play Ludo with them, snakes and ladder, play Monopoly, play with them. They will never forget those experiences. Talk with your grandchildren. Talk about that. Play with your grandchildren. Pray with your grandchildren. When you notice that your grandchild is going through a certain challenge, or there's something wrong, maybe in their academics, or there's something wrong in their health, hold their hands and pray with them. Let them remember that my grandparents pray with me. Remember to pray with them. Pray with them. Very, very important. Sometimes you just call them and say, all of you come. I want to pray for you, and pray for them. There's nothing, it's a beautiful experience that they would never, ever forget. Also, express your feelings. Express your feelings, show vulnerability. Don't always act like you've never fallen down before as a grandparent. Don't act like you've never made mistakes before. Share your mistake stories. Share with them things that have happened to you. Share with them mistakes you've made. Share with them how you feel. Maybe sometimes you want to be vulnerable with them and feel that there was a time that I used to do this thing, but now, I can't do it anymore. Be vulnerable with them. Your grandchildren will love it, and love them with words and action. We've overflogged that, and teach them the word of God in an interesting manner. Let our grandchildren remember that we teach them stories from the Bible. Teach them, show them stories from the Bible. Ask them, let me teach you about Joseph. Tell them who Joseph is. Ask them what lessons can they learn from the story of Joseph? What lessons can they learn from the story of David? What mistakes did David make that they can avoid? What did they learn from the story of Esther, Deborah? Plan it. and teach them the word of God. But it must not be boring. If it's boring, they will run away from us and they will not want to come back. So make it interesting. Remember, I told us that there's something called International Children's Bible. It's a version, it's on the YouVersion app. We can download it so we can read this with our grandchildren. It makes them enjoy the Bible. They have broken it down. It's different from King James Version that has all the begat, and all that. And International Children's Bible, very beautiful Bible. You can read it to them, or the Passion Translation. There's also the Living Translation. There's New Living Translation. These are versions of the Bible that have been broken down, so you can do that with them. Okay, thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. Okay. Wow. How are we doing? Have we been getting? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, I have finished. Do we have questions? Do we have questions? Okay.
Blessing. Well done.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Very beautiful session. Thank you.
Thank
I've
you.
learned a lot.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, Ma. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm
Session.
feeling everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, lots of people. I'm just seeing everybody that has joined. Okay, so someone is asking for my discipline or ministry name. Yeah, Inferential Family Services. Inferential. It means intentional parenting with experiential knowledge. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you have any question, please, you can just type it. You can just type it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, blessing.
Good evening, Eshigoni. Thank you, Daddy, Mommy, all the daddies and mommy in the house. Let me appreciate everyone for joining. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Do we have questions before we close?
Is it possible
I can't hear. There's some other noise. Let me see. Okay. There are other people. Please, can you please mute so that we can hear the questions for those that want to share? Okay. Okay, you can share. Okay, I'll see for I will call you. Okay, I can't hear the question. Can you please type that there's some noise going on around that I can't control? Let me try to control. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, you have the copy. Yes, you have the replay. You have the replay of the session. Okay, you want the slides. Okay, yes, you will. If you registered and sent your email address, I'll send the slides to your email address. If you registered, I'll send it there. Send it. Okay, thank you. Any other? Okay, ma.
I think this should make parenting is huge part 2.
Oh, okay, ma. All right, thank you.
Hard copy.
Okay,
God bless you.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, ma. For Laika, please, you want to raise your hand, please, you can go ahead.
Okay, well done, Blessing.
Very
Yeah.
informative session. We are proud of you.
Thank you so much.
I just want to add concerning it's quite challenging. I think this area needs information as well. There are so many coming up now, and autism is a broad spectrum, ranging from a child not communicating at all, to a child with just a mild affectation. I think maybe one of the sessions should dwell on how to manage the issue of children that are with autism. It is an in thing now. And people have very little information, and people, especially grandparents, seem to misconstrue it as something spiritual attack, and they don't really adapt to coping with these children. So it's just an area I want to point at. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mommy. Yeah,
Done.
when I
I'm
was
done.
okay, ma, thank you. Yeah, when I was sharing the slide, I know I mentioned it. I know I talked about understanding your grandchildren, you know, and I mentioned that there's something a lot about special needs children now. We have lots of developmental delays and all, you know, in children. And we said that grandparents need to understand what is this, you know. So thank you so much, Mommy, for pointing that. Yeah, it's a good one. Maybe I can even get someone in that field and I get arranged that the person gets to talk to grandparents, because when grandparents do not get it, they don't understand it. And when we were growing up, we didn't see so much of that around, very few, but now it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. And even some of us that are even in my generation, they don't understand it as well. You know, because especially autism, it doesn't carry a physical outlook. So the child looks like there's nothing wrong, but there's something wrong. You know, their developmental delays and neuro divergent children. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I appreciate it. We'll do something around that. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, so want to call it an evening. I know I've taken our time, and I've taken our time today. I would like to appreciate everyone here. I want to say thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you. All right. Do you have a question, Ma?